Teddy! Teddy! Yeah. Teddy! Are you okay?
The film begins with Ava, a young woman returning to her childhood home in Southport. After preparing for the evening, she sets out with anticipation. Tonight marks the engagement celebration of her former high school friends, Danica and Teddy. Upon arrival, Ava and Danica share a heartfelt reunion after years apart. The evening takes an unexpected turn when it is revealed that Ava's ex-boyfriend, Milo, is also in attendance. As the party winds down, Ava, Danica, Teddy, and Milo gather together, reminiscing about the lives they have built since leaving town. In a lighthearted moment, Danica suggests that Ava and Milo should consider moving back to Southport, though neither is willing to abandon the paths they have forged elsewhere. The group decides to continue the night by heading to a nearby summit to watch the 4th of July fireworks. Before departing, they encounter Stevie, another old classmate who had once been part of their circle. Stevie drifted away after her father disappeared with her college fund, leaving her isolated. Out of compassion, they invite her to join. Though hesitant, she is technically on duty. A colleague encourages her to enjoy herself, and she agrees.
It is the best view.
The 5 friends pile into a vehicle, determined to make the evening memorable. After a long drive, they find an ideal spot, park, and prepare for the fireworks. However, Teddy, intoxicated and overly exuberant, stumbles into the middle of the road, joking recklessly. A car approaches in the distance, and the group shouts for him to move, but Teddy ignores their warnings. At the last moment, Milo drags him out of harm's way. Danica scolds him, but Teddy remains energized, dangerously close to the road. Suddenly, disaster strikes. The oncoming vehicle swerves to avoid him, crashes into a fence, and ends up precariously balanced over a cliff, hanging above jagged rocks. Chaos ensues. Teddy sobers instantly and rushes to assist the driver, while the others desperately attempt to stabilize the truck.
I can't!
Despite their efforts, the vehicle slips from their grasp and plunges into the ravine, smashing violently against the rocks below. The group stands frozen, horrified by the tragedy they have just witnessed. Panic quickly follows, and arguments erupt over what to do next.
How are we supposed to get down there, Stevie? It's not realistic.
Teddy manages to contact the police, but afterward insists they must leave immediately. Ava resists, convinced the driver may still be alive and determined to help. Teddy reassures her they are only heading to the station, and reluctantly, she agrees. Instead of driving to the authorities, Teddy leads them to his home. There, he reveals that his father has the influence to erase the incident, provided they all swear never to speak of it again. Everyone consents except Ava. Danica pulls her aside, warning that the truth would destroy all of their lives. Torn and terrified, Ava finally relents, stepping outside in tears. The narrative then leaps forward 1 year. Ava returns to Southport once more. At the airport, she encounters a woman named Tyler, and the two share a brief fling. Afterward, Tyler requests a ride into town, explaining she is also bound for Southport. Ava agrees, and Milo arrives to pick her up. During the drive, Milo asks Tyler about her visit. She reveals that she hosts a true crime podcast and has come to investigate the notorious massacre that devastated Southport in 1997. Soon after, Milo and Ava attend Danica's bridal shower, where Stevie is already mingling with guests. To Ava's surprise, Danica and Stevie have grown close since the previous year's events. As the celebration unfolds, the guests gather around Danica as she opens her gifts. In the midst of the joy, she discovers a playing card that leaves her visibly shaken. The message reads, "I know what you did last summer." Alarmed, she demands to know who delivered it, but the room remains silent. At that moment, her fiancé, Wyatt, casually reveals that she and Teddy are no longer together. Later, Danica confides in her friends, showing them the card. She suspects Teddy sent it out of jealousy over her impending marriage. They explain that Teddy never recovered from the tragedy of the previous year. The guilt consumed him, leaving him broken and dependent on alcohol. Milo, however, disagrees. He does not believe Teddy would resort to such an act. Milo begins to wonder if the threatening message could have come from someone connected to the victim, Sam Cooper. Stevie quickly dismisses the idea, explaining that she had researched Sam thoroughly. He had no family, no relatives, no one who might seek revenge. Later, Ava, Milo, and Stevie decide to confront Teddy, who now spends most of his days drunk aboard his boat. They show him the ominous card and demand to know if he is responsible. Outraged, Teddy denies any involvement and coldly remarks that if only Danica received the message, then it is her problem, not his. That evening, Danica remains unsettled. She retreats to the bathtub, puts on her headphones, and attempts to calm her nerves with meditation music. Meanwhile, Wyatt notices an outdoor light flicker on by itself. Curious, he steps outside to investigate but finds nothing. Suddenly, The light shuts off again, and the attack begins. Wyatt is struck violently and collapses, crying out in pain, though Danica hears nothing through her headphones. Struggling to his feet, Wyatt is hit once more, this time impaled by a harpoon. Believing it to be a robbery, he pleads for the assailant to take whatever they want. It is then that the figure is revealed, a killer clad in a black raincoat, face concealed, wielding a massive hook with merciless intent. Moments later, Danica descends the stairs and freezes in horror. Wyatt's lifeless body lies on the floor. And beside him is a chilling message smeared for her to see: "You can't erase the past." Hours later, at the police station, Danica's friends rush to console her. Overcome with guilt, she breaks down, confessing that she had been home the entire time yet never heard his screams. Teddy soon arrives with his father, Grant, who assures Danica that he will assign a police patrol to guard her house around the clock. The following day, the group reconvenes, struggling to understand why Wyatt was targeted. He had no connection to last year's accident, so why him? Milo begins to suspect Tyler, Ava's new acquaintance, the true crime podcaster who came to Southport to investigate the 1997 murders. They listen to her podcast, which recounts how, in 1997, a fisherman slaughtered a group of teenagers attempting to conceal a murder. He hunted them down one by one with his hook, beginning after they received an anonymous note. The unsettling parallels between those killings and the current events leave the group deeply uneasy. Teddy warns them not to expect answers, explaining that his father, Grant, had all the original case files suppressed to protect his development projects from scaring off investors. With no other leads, Ava meets with Tyler, who invites her to help investigate the original massacre. Together, they visit Bayside House, the site of one of the fishermen's brutal attacks. Tyler explains that at the time, a woman named Julie James received a mysterious note, the very note that triggered the killings. When Ava asks what it said, Tyler replies, "I know what you did last summer."
I know what you did last summer.
The words hit Ava like a blow, pulling her back into the nightmare of the previous year. Tyler heads upstairs to explore, but Ava grows increasingly uneasy. Something about the situation feels wrong, so she discreetly updates her friends with her location. Moments later, she freezes, the fisherman stands directly before her. At first, she assumes it is Tyler playing a cruel trick, until she hears Tyler still upstairs. Tyler spots the killer and screams for Ava to run. Chaos erupts. The fisherman charges, and Ava fights back, injuring him just enough to escape and lock herself inside a nearby room. When she emerges moments later, the killer has vanished, and Tyler appears shaken. Suddenly, the situation worsens, a massive cage drops from above, trapping Ava inside. Panicked, she pleads with Tyler to get help, and Tyler rushes off. Tyler struggles to manually operate the old elevator in search of another escape route. Before she can break free, the fisherman silently appears behind her, poised to strike. Meanwhile, trapped inside the cage, Ava notices that Stevie has received her message and is outside attempting to get in, but every door is locked, leaving her powerless. Upstairs, Tyler manages to break free from the fisherman's grip and reaches another floor. She is moments away from escaping when the killer reappears, attacking viciously with his hook just as Ava finally breaks out of the cage. Summoning her last strength, Tyler tears off the fisherman's hood, and her horrified expression reveals that she recognizes him. At the same moment, Ava escapes the house and rushes to Stevie outside. Together, they look up in shock to see Tyler hanging by the neck from the window. Panic spreads as onlookers scream, and police swarm the scene. Ava, trembling and shaken, is surrounded by her friends. The following day, desperate for answers, Ava seeks out Julie, the lone survivor of the 1997 massacre. Now living in another town as a university professor, Julie initially dismisses Ava's story as a joke. But when she realizes Ava is serious, she invites her inside. Ava confesses everything: the accident, the note, the killings, and pleads with Julie to return to Southport. Julie refuses, having sworn never to go back. Instead, she warns Ava that the killer's motive is personal, and the only way to stop them is to uncover their identity before they strike again. Stevie then leads the group to Ray, another survivor of the 1997 massacre and her current employer. Ava is stunned to learn that Ray is Julie's ex-husband, though the two clearly harbor resentment toward each other. After hearing their account, Ray advises them to revisit the beginning and determine who owned the truck that went off the cliff. Reports claim Sam Cooper had stolen it. The group heads to the junkyard where the wreck was taken, and the manager reveals a startling detail: the truck belonged to Pastor Judah Gillespie. Later that evening, Teddy and Danica visit the cemetery to investigate whether Sam Cooper had any connection to the 1997 massacre. At his grave, they discover a fresh flower. If Sam had no family, then who is visiting him? Danica contacts the caretaker to ask if he saw who left it, but he has not. She then notices a security camera and requests to review the footage. As the caretaker begins to pull up the recordings, the fisherman silently appears, slashes his throat, and deletes all evidence. Outside, Teddy and Danica continue waiting. Teddy goes to check on the caretaker, leaving Danica alone. Moments later, the fisherman emerges from the shadows and lunges at her. Danica narrowly escapes, sprinting into a nearby house. She grabs the telephone, but the line is dead. The fisherman breaks in, forcing her to hide silently. He eventually discovers her and raises his hook to strike, but Teddy bursts in, tackling him to the floor. The fisherman escapes into the night, leaving Danica shaken but alive. Meanwhile, Ray confronts Julie, accusing her of sending Ava on a suicide mission by encouraging her to hunt the killer. At that moment, Julie receives a frantic call from Ava recounting the attack, while Ray simultaneously hears from Stevie. That night, the group decides to stay at Teddy's house for safety, though Stevie is absent due to her night shift. In the quiet of the house, Teddy and Danica grow close, while Milo and Ava retreat to the guest room. They kiss and begin to grow intimate, but Milo suddenly pulls away, gently explaining that he needs time. Later, Milo steps outside to retrieve his charger from the car. When he returns, the door mysteriously refuses to open. He circles to the glass wall, knocking and calling for Ava. Before she hears him, the fisherman emerges from the darkness, wraps a rope around Milo's neck, and drags him backward. Milo struggles desperately for air as the fisherman hauls him to his car and drives away. When Ava sees the vehicle departing, she assumes Milo left because of their earlier encounter. She sends him a voice message apologizing, only to receive a reply from his phone, written by the fisherman, claiming Milo needs space and will call when ready. The next morning, Ava and Danica visit the church to find Pastor Judah, but a staff member informs them he is not present. Danica asks to use the restroom and secretly sneaks into the pastor's office. Shortly afterward, Pastor Judah arrives and casually begins a conversation with Ava. However, when the church employee mentions Sam's death from the previous year, Judah's demeanor shifts abruptly. He grows tense and quickly attempts to evade the subject. Meanwhile, Danica searches through Pastor Judah's office and discovers a book containing a photograph of Sam and the pastor together, revealing a much closer relationship than anyone had suspected. Alarmed, the girls rush to the police station and insist that Pastor Judah is hiding something and must be questioned immediately. Instead of assisting, the officer alerts Grant, who orders that the girls be detained overnight for being hysterical. They are locked in a holding room, their phones confiscated. That evening, Teddy sits outside drinking, watching the 4th of July fireworks illuminate the sky. Suddenly, he notices his electric gates malfunctioning. He goes to investigate, a fatal mistake. The fisherman, lurking nearby, ambushes him. A brutal fight ensues. Though injured and bleeding, Teddy manages to knock the killer down and stagger toward the house. Desperate to warn his family. But he is too slow. The fisherman rises again, drags Teddy into the darkness, and finishes him. Moments later, Grant hears the doorbell. When he opens the door, he is horrified to see Teddy slumped on the porch, drenched in blood and barely alive. Before Grant can react, the fisherman emerges from the shadows and drives his hook through Grant's throat, killing him instantly. The next morning, chaos erupts at the police station. Officers panic, and the girls are finally released. As they step outside, they find a crowd gathered in the town square. Hanging before them are Teddy and Grant's bodies, displayed as a grotesque warning. Danica nearly collapses at the sight. Ray rushes over, urging them to leave Southport immediately if they want to survive. They agree, but just as they prepare to flee, they spot Milo's car. Inside, lying lifeless in the back seat, is Milo. Ava breaks down completely, sobbing in shock and heartbreak, but her friends pull her away before she collapses. Stevie leads the girls toward a boat, their only chance to escape the cursed town before the fisherman strikes again. Meanwhile, officers arrive at the church to arrest Pastor Judah, only to find a nightmare. The pastor is already dead, left kneeling with his eyes brutally gouged out. As they search the premises, they uncover a disturbing photograph among his belongings, Pastor Judah with Sam, and beside Sam is Stevie, smiling and wrapped around him as though they were close. Back on the boat, the fisherman suddenly lunges from the shadows, targeting Danica. The girls scream, and in that moment the mask comes off. The killer is Stevie. Demanding answers, they confront her, and Stevie finally snaps. She reveals that she has hated them for years, ever since they abandoned her after her father left town. She spiraled into drugs, ended up in rehab, and there met Sam, the only person who helped her cope. On the night of the accident, Sam borrowed Pastor Judah's truck to find her, terrified she might relapse. Stevie admits she never saw who was in the truck, but when she eventually learned the truth, her grief twisted into vengeance. The girls are stunned. Ava seizes a flare gun, sparking a vicious struggle. Ray spots the chaos from afar as Ava sprints to the deck, screaming for help. Below, Danica and Stevie engage in a brutal fight. Stevie gains the upper hand, raising her hook for the kill, but Ray arrives just in time. Gun drawn, he and Ava plead with her to stop. Stevie refuses. She plunges the hook into Danica and shoves her overboard. Devastated, Ray fires the shot that finally brings Stevie down. Ava collapses, sobbing over the loss of her best friend. Ray holds her, assuring her it is over, even though nothing about this day will ever truly feel over. After the chaos, Ava calls Julie from Ray's bar, recounting everything. Stevie was the killer. Yet one question remains: how could Stevie have orchestrated all of this alone? Julie finds it suspicious as well. She quickly searches Stevie online and freezes when she discovers a photo of Stevie and Ray together, looking far too close for comfort. Back at the bar, Ava sits with Ray. As he casually removes his jacket, her stomach drops. She spots a fresh wound on his arm, the exact place she stabbed the fisherman at Bayside House. Terrified, Ava says she wants to leave, but the door is locked. Ray's friendly facade collapses instantly. He admits Stevie wanted to spare Ava, the only one who tried to do the right thing that night. But now, he claims, he has no choice. Ava is horrified when he says he did not kill Stevie, meaning she is still alive. Before she can react, Ray lunges. A brutal fight erupts, leaving Ava badly injured. Moments later, Julie bursts into the bar and finds Ava collapsed on the floor, a knife lodged in her back. She comforts her, promising help is on the way. Then Ray steps out of the shadows. Julie confronts him, demanding answers. Ray insists he is doing what is right, that the group destroyed Stevie's life, taking away the only friend she ever had. Southport betrayed him too, burying the legacy of the 1997 killings to make the town look appealing to newcomers. Julie is stunned as Ray calmly explains his final plan. He intends to frame everything on her, claiming she snapped and went on a killing spree. Just as he raises his weapon to finish her, Ava fires a harpoon straight through his back, finally ending his reign of terror. In the final scene, Danica washes ashore, barely alive but breathing. Locals rush her to the hospital, and after she recovers, she reunites with Ava. The two retreat to a quiet beach to eat, talk, and process the nightmare that consumed their summer. The film closes with Ava admitting what no one wants to hear: Stevie is still out there. The girls laugh nervously, joking that they will have to take her out first before she comes hunting for them.